Okay, chapter 23. Remember, you're supposed to be reading along with me and not just listening, but listening's better than nothing, but please read. Chapter 23. Guiding wild hog hunts was a large part of Dad's business. Like the alligators, there are too many hogs, and they've become a problem. Herds of them, with boars as big as 300 pounds, roam the marsh, destructive, violent, and unpredictable. Dad told me the wild hogs were the descendants. Just pause for the bell. Dad told me the wild hogs were the descendants of pigs Hernando de Soto brought into Florida nearly 400 years ago. They weren't much of a problem until the 1980s, when people trucked them across state lines and released them for hunting. Hogs can live just about anywhere because they aren't picky about what they eat. They mostly browse on grass, roots, and stems, but they also feed on any kind of meat. I've seen them eat armadillos, small deer, snakes, and other hogs. In most places, their only natural predators are panthers and alligators. There are few panthers left, and gators won't stray far from the water. Add to this a female hog with as many as 12 piglets a year, and it's easy to see how they spread all over the South. There was no closed season on hogs. Hunters can kill as many as they want any time of year, day or night. But the permanently open season still isn't enough. Wild hogs aren't just good survivalists. They're smart. It doesn't take long for them to figure out where and how they're being hunted and avoid those places and tactics. That's what makes the Delta such a popular destination for hunters. There are thousands of wild pigs in the remote areas of the swamp, and most of them have never seen a man before. Even though hog hunting is a steady business, it's a sport Dad and I don't enjoy being part of. It draws men who are more into cruelty than challenges. They typically use at least 2 dogs, one to trail the prey and one to catch it. The trailing dog or chase dog can be a red bone or other common baying hound. The catch dog is the thug of the two, a scarred, callous killer. Typically a pit bull known for its locking bite and instincts to clamp, hold, and shake its prey. Initially, the bay dogs find the pack, single out a big boar, and chase it until it's tired and cornered. The catch dog will then rush the pig until it can get its jaws clamped on the pig's ear and twist it to the ground. It will try to hold the pig in this way until the hunter catches up to the fight. Most people assume it's a hog's curling yellow tusks on the top jaw that are dangerous, but the tusks are thick and dull from constant digging into the soil. The cutter teeth on the bottom jaw are what they use to tear flesh. These are 2 smaller teeth, protruding above and behind each tusk. The hog grinds the tusks against them so they stay sharp enough to shave a fingernail. The danger lies not only in getting slashed by the cutter teeth, but also in catching a sharp hoof to the face or arm. The dogs are often gored or killed in the fight. I've seen them back away with their cheeks hanging open or their intestines hanging from their belly, blue and bloody and leaf pasted. While alligators can be deadly, they're easy to avoid. Dad and I have to be more careful around deadly animals that roam on the land. We're out there walking around in the dense underbrush most of the year. Dad's always more wary of poisonous snakes than anything else. He has a recurring dream where he's walking barefoot in the swamp and steps on a cottonmouth. He feels the lump of it under his heel, like a mushy stick. He stepped on the middle of it, and it continues to arc its head up and bite his cap. Well, I don't like snakes either. I have more nightmares about hogs. When I was 10 years old, Dad pulled up to the creek bank to let me get out of the boat and pick some muscadine grapes. I hadn't wandered far into the palmetto when I was suddenly charged by a large sow. She bowled me over, bit into my thigh, and shook me like a doll. It happened so fast I didn't have time to react. Dad was quick to fire a shot into the air with his rifle. This startled the sow, and I saw her bolt off with the litter of piglets trailing her. I still have the scars from where her teeth punctured my leg. I learned firsthand that wild pigs won't hesitate to attack and kill you and eat you. Chapter 24. Liza stopped, and I felt dread slip over me as I anticipated what lay ahead. I came up beside her and saw the black water of Bottle Creek at her feet. "Take her," I said. Liza took Francie and passed me the light and the compass. I shoved the compass into my pocket. Then I put the light on the creek and over it and up into the rain where I couldn't see the opposite bank. I pulled it back to us and upstream, watching the way the water rested against the trees. The current didn't appear to be a serious threat. "We've got to swim this to get to the mounds," I said. We still had on our life vests, and Liza was a good swimmer. I wasn't worried about her. I shoved the flashlight into my pocket and took Francie again and held her out before me. "Francie," I said. She looked at me. "You're going to have to hold on to my neck, okay? I'm going to have to swim with you on my back." She stared at me blankly, her lips quivering. I lowered her into the water until she was floating in her vest. Then I crouched and pulled her around behind me. I heard her breathing increase and felt her arms clasp my neck, and I was certain she understood. "Stay close enough to touch me," I told Liza. "If you start to drift off, grab onto my vest. I can pull us all if I have to." She nodded. I leaned forward and shoved out into the creek. I made wide breaststrokes, trying to envision keeping myself perpendicular to the bank. But everything was black and disorienting. I couldn't see in front of me. My eyes were useless and only confusing me. I closed them, and I felt the wind gust against my cheek and remembered from what direction it had come, and tried to keep swimming so that I continued to feel it there. Francie's hands were cold and tight and trembling against my throat. I heard Liza beside me. When I felt the tug of current, it was heavy and slow, and I knew we were somewhere in the middle of the creek. I kept on, envisioning where we might come out. There was a crooked cypress that Dad usually used as a landmark for the trail, but I didn't expect to find it. Even if we missed the usual route in, I was confident I could still locate the mounds. When my arms swept over a thatch of palmetto, I knew we were across. The swim had been smooth and easy. I grabbed a tree and swung my feet toward the ground. I hefted Francie onto my shoulders, then turned and helped Liza stand. "You okay?" I asked her. "Yes," she said. The floodwater was up to my chest and nearly to Liza's neck. It was really getting to us now, bringing down our body temperatures. I was shivering, and I heard Liza's teeth chattering. I had to hold the light over my head with one arm and Francie with the other. She rocked on my shoulders as I made a slow and deliberate progress toward the mounds. My feet and legs were constantly tangled in something. It helped to lean against the trees and steady myself, but sometimes there was nothing, and I stepped into depressions and stumbled forward, dumping Francie into the cold water. Normally, she was a good swimmer for a 6-year-old, but her strength and motivation were sapped. With none of the usual trails and landmarks, it was hard to know just how much farther we had to go, and if we were even headed in the right direction. Soon, though, a wailing sound pierced the wind and rain and raised the hair on the back of my neck. Whatever it was directly in front of us, right where I figured the mounds to be. That's the end of chapter 24.